Saturday, the 10th of April, 2010, my daughter and I went to the Wildseed Farms, which is real close to where I live, and it was a beautiful day, beautiful sky, beautiful weather, and that was a wonderful place to visit, this Wildseed Farm. They had a butterfly exhibit where you could walk in and the butterflies were all around you, and this is a big, huge wind chime that made just beautiful music. Well, we had a real good time there. This is a picture of me with my eyes squinted at the sun. I should have had my sunglasses down. I had a really good time this day, and that's my little camera I'm taking videos with. And this is my daughter, Susan, and she and I had such a wonderful time at this Wildseed Farm. There was a lot of jams and butters, like pumpkin butter and peach butter, cherry butter, just all kinds of canned things. And they gave you these little biscuits to taste their jellies with. And we really enjoyed that. We went back more than one time to this place to get another biscuit. These are some blue bonnets that are variegated colors in them. There's white ones and kind of pink ones. And that's the first I've ever seen of that. And here are a few pictures of the butterflies. We took gobs of them, but I'm not going to show you every one. It would just be too many. On the way back from this farm, I just had to stop at this place. It was a house with about 10 acres around it of yard containing all of these things in it. So I just went around taking pictures, and I tell you, there's so much to take a picture of. I didn't get all of it, that's for sure. I would have been all day. And that was just what was in the yard. The man who lived here had several outbuildings, like big workshop areas, where he worked on creating some of these things, and where he just had a lot of them displayed. This is the home of the artist that created so much of what's in this yard, and this home is right in the middle of the property with big, huge barns that are even bigger than his home, where he keeps a lot of the artwork, his and his wife's. And this man's name is Johann Eyfells, and we met him. He came out, he was in a shop working on repairing something, and we saw him there, and I shouted over to him, and I said, "Is all this work yours?" And he said, "Not all of it." And he invited us to come in because the shop he was in was a place where he had displayed quite a lot of his wife's work. And she worked with the medium of paintbrush and canvas, and she has all these huge portraits of faces of famous people, which I will be showing you in a little while. So while he's working with the sun and the moon and the galaxies and things like that, she's working with the personalities, the people that people this earth. This is a picture of him as he stood there at his little shop door and invited us in. Very pleasant person. Very interesting to see him, 90 years old and spry, and he complained a little bit about his health, but he sure got around good and was excited about life and living it, and we were just so thrilled to get to meet him. I actually did some videos of him speaking, which I'm going to put on next, and you'll see a little of his personality in that. In one of the workshops he has, I like this sculpture right here. This is the one if I had to choose one, I would want that one, because that is a shape I work with a lot. And you can see from some of the work in his shop that he works with the geometric figures. And a lot of his work looks like the formation of planets at one time in their history. I want to read you something that's in one of his brochures that he gave to us. And it's like, well, this is so timely for me to be seeing this and thinking along this line. But while I read this now, you're going to see a lot of faces come up. These are the huge pictures of different personalities. You will recognize some of them that his wife did. But I want to read in here, in this brochure, it says, "The stained and encrusted surface has an ancient quality which is reinforced by the eternal icon of a spiral, and like the event horizon, formed by material spiraling into a black hole. It is these traces of elements that provide evidence that something momentous has occurred. In the words of the artist, the indivisible, spaceless, and placeless dimensions are sought." So I felt like this was a man after my own heart, in that I'm also looking into that sort of thing. I have to blame it all on Nassim Harriman, who got me interested in all this from looking at his videos and seeing him talk about the event horizon and talking about black holes and things like that. And it just seems like synchronistic things happen to me, happening to come across this yard, and this man's work having to do with things like black holes. And also it has to do with these people that we're seeing pictures of going by here, because it's us people on this earth who are creators too. And his wife got so much expression in these pictures, and she did it a lot with drawing lines and colors into the faces of these different personalities. And it's very interesting. She did so much with color and with her lines, and it was interesting to hear him talk about her drawings. I could tell that he really missed her, and he could not part with the artwork that she created. We asked him, "Well, do you have these for sale?" He said, "Oh, nobody can afford them," because he couldn't let them go without putting some fantastically huge price on them, like $30,000 each or something like that. And he didn't find that many people were willing to pay that much for a painting. Of course, there are some people in this world who think nothing of paying that kind of money for a painting. But this you're seeing now is inside another one of the little buildings he has on his property, where he has all of these on display. And he just sent us in there on our own. He said, "Turn off the lights when you leave out." So we went in there, and he's got many of his wife's pictures on display with a light over each one. It was a real interesting day to be out and about with my daughter and meeting personalities like this Johann person. Very interesting indeed to see someone who's 90 years old and still vitally interested in life and creating even more. And I think when you have a interest in life that keeps you kind of young, because you're always pursuing that interesting thing. It's when you lose interest in life that you grow old and die. But he is quite a character. I will be putting another video on of some of the videos I made of him talking to us. We asked him a few questions and, got him to let us know a little bit about himself. But mostly he wanted to talk about his wife. And you could tell he really misses her a lot. And I know someday he wants all these pictures of hers to go into a museum somewhere. Perhaps he saw my little camera that I was using, and he couldn't believe it was a video camera. And he shied away from knowing anything about computers. When I told him it only cost about $60, but you have to have a computer to go with it, he's like, "Oh, well, then forget it," Because so many people are quite afraid of learning the computer. If only they knew how user-friendly computers actually are nowadays, they wouldn't be afraid of them. But anyway, this is about at the end, and I will let you go. Bye for now.